I stood in the hallway, barefoot on the cold tiles, still gripping the red wine bottle I brought home for our anniversary dinner. The smell of roasted chicken filled the house, the one I started cooking before heading out to pick up the wine. There were candles lit in the dining room, soft jazz playing from the Bluetooth speaker. Everything was perfect, or so I thought, until I heard her voice from upstairs. Her bedroom voice. "You know you're the only one who can make me feel this way." At first, my brain didn't connect the dots. Maybe she was on the phone. Maybe she was watching a movie. But then came a sound that snapped the air out of my lungs. A breathy moan followed by a man's voice saying, "You drive me crazy, Claire." Claire. My wife. The woman who, just this morning, kissed me goodbye like nothing in the world was wrong. The same woman who made me promise to be home by 7 sharp because she had a special surprise planned for me. I didn't walk up the stairs. I floated, like some ghost version of myself, detached and silent. Each step felt like I was dragging the weight of every anniversary, every trip, every laugh we ever shared. I stopped at our bedroom door, left slightly ajar, her bra dangling from the doorknob like some kind of mocking flag. I pushed it open. There she was, Claire, my wife of 7 years, on top of some gym-built, tatted-up man I didn't recognize. Her hair was a mess, makeup smeared, hips moving like she forgot everything that ever mattered in her life before this moment. And then she saw me. For half a second, her eyes widened in horror. Not guilt, not shame, just annoyance. Like I just walked in and spoiled a movie ending. She didn't even bother covering herself. Didn't scream. Didn't run. Instead, she slowly slid off the guy, grabbed a silk robe from the floor, and muttered, "Ethan, Jesus, you weren't supposed to be home yet." The guy just stared, frozen, his mouth slightly open like a deer caught in headlights. I didn't even look at him. My eyes were glued to Claire. I couldn't speak. My lips moved, but no sound came out. My hands shook. She walked toward me, calm, like this was a misunderstanding, like this was normal. "Don't make this bigger than it is," she said. "It's just one night with another man. Don't turn it into a tragedy." That line, that cold, heartless line, it hit me harder than the image burned into my skull. Just one night. As if our vows didn't matter. As if I was some fool who should swallow betrayal like a sleeping pill and get over it by morning. She reached for my arm. I flinched back. "Ethan, come on. We haven't been connected lately. You've been working late. You're always tired. I needed this." That's what she said. Like I was the reason she ended up doing the horizontal tango with another man in our bed on the night of our anniversary. The guy started getting dressed in a panic. I still hadn't said a word. "You don't need to leave," she snapped at him. "He's not going to do anything." Not going to do anything? She underestimated just how broken I felt in that moment. Not violent. Not angry. Just shattered. I turned, walked downstairs, sat at the dining table. Chicken was still hot. Candles flickering. 2 plates set, one with her favorite wine glass beside it. I heard her footsteps follow, heard her robe dragging along the wooden floor. She sat across from me, like nothing happened. "Can we talk like adults, please?" I looked at her. This woman I used to adore, now a stranger with a smug face, sitting in the aftermath of her own betrayal, asking me to treat it like a simple argument. I finally spoke. "You planned a romantic dinner with me, while planning to screw someone else upstairs." Her reply? "No, it just happened. He came by. One thing led to another." Don't be dramatic. That's when something snapped in me. Not rage, but the horrifying realization that this wasn't her first time. The ease, the comfort, the casual dismissal. It reeked of repetition. She'd done this before. And I had no idea. But I was about to find out everything. I didn't sleep that night. Claire went upstairs like she hadn't just shattered the entire foundation of our marriage. I sat in the living room, staring at the half-melted candles and cold chicken, while outside the wind slammed branches against the window like they were begging me to wake up and realize this was a dream. But it wasn't. The smell of her perfume still lingered in the air. That same scent she wore every night we made love. Now it felt poisonous. At 2 a.m., I finally got up and opened her laptop. We never hid passwords from each other. That was the kind of marriage I thought we had. Transparent. Trusting. Safe. I was a fool. Her email was open, a long chain of conversations with someone named Jake S. The guy from earlier. Turns out he wasn't just some random hookup. They'd been seeing each other for at least 5 months. There were hotel confirmations, lunch reservations, flight itineraries, even pictures. Pictures of them on a weekend getaway in the mountains, smiling like newlyweds. Her in lingerie I'd never seen. Him holding her from behind, his hand on places that made my blood boil. And the worst part? There was an email titled, "What to Say If Ethan Finds Out." She had a plan. A freaking plan for my discovery. Scripts. Excuses. Lies. Word for word what she'd said tonight. That line. "It's just one night. Don't turn it into a tragedy." It wasn't spontaneous. It was rehearsed. I felt sick. I rushed to the bathroom and threw up until my throat burned. Then I stared at myself in the mirror. Eyes bloodshot. Pale. Broken. Claire didn't just cheat. She manipulated, strategized, prepared. This wasn't a mistake. It was war. I printed every email, every picture, every receipt. I wanted to confront her, but not like earlier, not with her standing there half-naked, pretending to be the victim. I wanted her to feel something. Guilt, regret, fear, anything other than that smug calm she wore like armor. At 7 a.m., she came downstairs, dressed in yoga pants and a loose hoodie, pretending nothing happened. She poured herself coffee, looked at me, and said, "Are you still mad?" Still mad? She sipped her coffee and raised an eyebrow. "You didn't even hit him." I expected worse. I slid the folder across the table. "What's this?" "Evidence," I said, "of the last 5 months." Her face froze. She flipped open the folder, started skimming. Her jaw clenched, nostrils flared. For the first time, she didn't have a smug comeback. Then she closed it and said, "So you've been spying on me now?" Cute. No apology. No remorse. Just defense. I stood up. "You lied to me for months. You brought him into our bed. On our anniversary. And you have the audacity to act like I'm the one who did something wrong. You were boring," she snapped. "Safe. Predictable." He made me feel alive again. It was like she wanted to hurt me. Wanted to cut deep and twist. "You don't even look at me the way he does," she continued. "You stopped noticing me. He sees me." I shook my head. "You didn't come to me. You didn't talk. You plotted." She smirked. "Because I knew you'd react like this. All dramatic, like the world's ending. You made me dramatic. You staged this entire thing, and now you want me to act like it's no big deal." She slammed her coffee cup down. "Do what you want, Ethan. Divorce me. Cry. Go whine to your buddies. Just don't pretend like you were some perfect husband." I stared at her, realizing for the first time how much she despised me. She didn't cheat because she was lost. She cheated because she wanted to. Because she liked it. Because I wasn't exciting anymore. There's a difference between a mistake and a choice. And she made 1,000 deliberate choices to betray me. And still, she acted like she was doing me a favor by staying. The doorbell rang. I walked over, opened it, and standing there was Jake. Still smelling like last night. Still stupid enough to show up to my house. Claire stood behind me and whispered, "Don't do anything crazy." But the crazy part? I didn't punch him. Not yet. I just looked at him, then back at her. And I smiled. A smile she hadn't seen in years. Not a loving one. Not a gentle one. But a calm, calculated one. Because now I had a plan too. Jake had that clueless smirk guys like him wear when they think they've won. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't apologetic. Just stood there with his hands in his pockets like he was delivering a pizza, not walking into the ruins of someone else's marriage. Claire moved to my side, trying to act like a peacemaker, but her body betrayed her. She leaned slightly toward him. Like instinct. Like comfort. Like home. That told me everything. "I just came to talk," Jake said. "We didn't mean for things to go like this." "You didn't mean for me to find out?" I asked. He hesitated, glanced at Claire, then back at me. It just happened. The favorite line of cheaters everywhere. I stepped aside. "Come in." Claire grabbed my arm. "Ethan, let him in," I said. "We're all adults, right?" He walked in like it was nothing. Sat on my couch, the one I bought. The one Claire and I picked out together. The one I laid on when I had the flu, and she brought me soup and kissed my forehead. She sat beside him. That hit harder than a punch. I stayed standing. There was power in standing. "Tell me," I said, "how long have you two been laughing behind my back?" Claire rolled her eyes. "This isn't high school." Jake spoke. "We met at that yoga retreat in Colorado. Remember when Claire went in August?" I remembered. I sent her off at the airport. Told her to enjoy some peace, some space. I even gave her my travel pillow. Claire jumped in. "It wasn't planned, Ethan. It started with a drink. A drink. And then talking. It felt easy. Jake smiled. She told me everything about you. I clenched my jaw. Everything. Claire nodded. I needed to talk to someone. So instead of talking to your husband, you decided to pour your soul into a stranger with nice abs and a gym membership. Jake stood up. You don't get to talk to her like that. That's when it snapped. I stepped forward. Not to hit him. I wasn't going to give either of them that satisfaction. But just enough for him to feel how much strength I still had left. Just enough for Claire to see that I wasn't the predictable, boring man she labeled me as. I whispered, "Get out of my house." Jake looked to her for direction. And she hesitated. She actually hesitated. Like she wasn't sure who she belonged to anymore. That broke something inside me I didn't even know existed. "Claire," I said, voice shaking, "did you ever love me?" She looked up at me. Of course I did. Did? I asked. Past tense. She didn't respond. That silence was louder than any scream. Jake started toward the door. "Let's go, Claire." I waited. She stood. She followed him. No apology. No tears. Just grabbed her bag, tossed her hair over her shoulder, and left. Like it was just another Sunday morning. Like she wasn't walking out of 7 years of marriage. When the door closed, I stood there. Still. Frozen. I don't know how long I stayed like that. Maybe 5 minutes. Maybe 5 hours. Eventually I moved. I walked into our bedroom. Now theirs, I guess, and stripped the bed. Tossed every pillow, every sheet into a garbage bag. The smell of her perfume still clung to the fabric. It made me gag. Then I went to the closet. She hadn't taken anything. Her dresses, her shoes, her favorite red coat, still hanging there like she planned to come back later and pretend this never happened. I sat on the floor, not to cry, but to breathe. My chest felt like it was collapsing in on itself. The betrayal wasn't just the cheating, it was the casual cruelty. The complete disregard for everything we'd built. The realization that while I was working extra hours to pay off her student loans, she was texting another man under the table at dinner. Every kiss, every "I love you," every whispered goodnight, all tainted. I picked up her wedding ring from the dresser. She'd left it there, on purpose, like a statement. She wanted me to know she was done, and maybe she thought I'd crumble. But she forgot something. I'm not the man she thinks she left behind. I didn't call her. Not that day, not the next, not the one after. I knew she was expecting it, a flood of desperate texts, angry voicemails, maybe a dramatic public scene. But I gave her silence. That was the only thing she wasn't ready for. By the end of the week, I changed the locks, froze our joint accounts, canceled her access to everything. The streaming services, the credit cards, even the shared calendar where she used to add fake spa days that were really hotel meetups. That same day, I got a call from her sister, Lauren. "Ethan, what the hell is going on? Claire's staying with me, and she's crying like you threw her into the street." I laughed. A dry, humorless sound. That's one way to describe it. "She said you embarrassed her in front of her friend and acted like a psycho." She forget to mention she was cheating? Dead silence. Then, "Are you serious?" "She's been seeing that guy for months, Lauren. She slept with him in our bed. On our anniversary." Another pause. This one longer. "I'm sorry," Lauren finally said. "I didn't know. She told me you two were just taking space. That things were mutual." "Yeah, her and Jake were real mutual that night." She sighed. "I can't believe her." "Well, believe it. And if she's staying with you, you might want to hide the married dads in your building. Seems to be her type." I hung up. That was the moment I realized how far she'd gone. Not just cheating, but spinning some victim story to her family to stay clean. Classic Claire. A week later, she texted, "Can we talk?" I left it on read. 3 hours later, another one. "You're really just going to ghost me after 7 years?" No, not ghosting. It was called boundaries. She tried calling next. I let it ring. Over and over. 10 missed calls by midnight. By morning, she was outside my house. Knocking. I watched from the window. She looked different. Less put together. Hair messy, sweatshirt too big, that red coat from the closet still hanging off her like a memory. She paced on the porch, rubbed her hands together like she was building up courage. I opened the door just wide enough for her to see me. "Ethan," she breathed. "Can we talk inside?" "No." She blinked. "Seriously? You walked out with him. You don't get to walk back in with me." Her lips trembled. "I didn't know what I was doing." "You knew. You planned it." "I made a mistake." "No," I said. "You made 100 of them. One for every lie. Every time you looked me in the eye, and said you loved me while sleeping with someone else. She was quiet. Then, desperate, I miss you. Too bad. Tears welled in her eyes. Real ones, maybe. But I'd seen her cry before, at her cousin's wedding, at movies, when I caught her maxing out our card on designer heels. The tears were always convenient. Always a weapon. Can we just talk? Please. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. We'll talk, I said. But you're not coming back in. She nodded slowly. Okay. We sat on the porch steps. The silence between us was louder than the traffic in the distance. I never meant to hurt you, she whispered. Did you think I'd just clap and move on? I thought you'd understand. That word again. Understand. Like I was too stupid to grasp the complexities of betrayal. I understand you didn't respect me, I said. I understand you didn't love me the way I loved you. I understand that you needed something I couldn't give. She looked down. It wasn't about you. It was exactly about me. I was lonely. So was I, Claire. You think I didn't feel you slipping away? You think I didn't notice when you stopped laughing at my jokes or stopped touching me unless you wanted something? I noticed. I just kept trying. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry it went sideways. You're sorry I didn't take it like a good little doormat. She tried to reach for my hand. I pulled back. You walked out, I said. And the version of me that would have begged you to stay? He walked out too. She started to cry. Not soft tears, ugly ones. Shoulders shaking. Hands covering her face. It should have made me feel something. But I felt nothing. No hatred. No sadness. Just freedom. I stood up, opened the door behind me. She looked up, pleading. I didn't say a word. Just walked in and closed the door gently behind me. And this time, she didn't knock. That night, I sat at the kitchen table, lights off, just the dim glow of the street lamp cutting shadows across the room. I was alone. But for the first time in weeks, it felt like peace. Not silence, not loneliness, not absence. Just peace. Claire didn't come back. No more texts. No more calls. Maybe she finally got it. Or maybe she was busy playing house with Jake. Either way, I didn't care. The hard part wasn't missing her. It was mourning the version of her I thought I married. The woman I believed in. The girl I met at that college party years ago who danced barefoot on the rooftop and made me laugh so hard I spilled beer on myself. That girl? She died somewhere along the way. Maybe when the bills started stacking, or when we got too comfortable, or when she started wanting more excitement than I could offer. Whatever the moment was, I didn't see it until she was already gone. I didn't sleep much that week. I started running again. 5 miles a morning before work. At first it was just to stop thinking. But eventually it turned into something more. It became mine. My ritual. My rebuilding. One morning, around 6, I ran past the coffee shop we used to go to. I hadn't been there since the breakup. I don't know why I went in that day. Maybe I just needed a reminder that not everything was tainted. I ordered her favorite. Vanilla oat latte, extra hot. Old habit. Then I stared at it on the table for 20 minutes before throwing it away. It wasn't mine anymore. The next week, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was Jake. At first, I thought it was a prank. He said, "Ethan, listen. I know you have every reason to hate me. I just wanted to tell you. Claire and I are done." I didn't answer. "She lied to me too," he continued. "Told me you guys were separated. That the marriage was already over." I still didn't answer. "She's been staying with some guy from her gym. I found out last night. She left her phone unlocked." There it was. The full circle. I felt my lip twitch. Almost a smile. "She said the same things to him she said to me," Jake muttered. "Same exact lines. It's like she's running a script." "She is," I said calmly. "She practiced it on me." He was silent for a while. "Why are you calling me, Jake?" I don't know, man. I guess I wanted to tell you that you weren't the problem. It's her. All the way." I nodded. Not because I needed the validation, but because I already knew. "I'm sorry," he added. I hung up. A few days later, I came home and found a letter on my porch. No envelope. Just folded, creased, her handwriting. "Ethan, I know you won't answer my calls anymore, and maybe I don't deserve for you to. But I had to say it anyway. I'm sorry. Not for getting caught. Not for how things ended. I'm sorry for taking someone as good as you and turning you into someone who couldn't even recognize himself anymore. You were everything I needed, but I was too stupid to see it. I wanted adventure. I wanted fire. But I didn't realize how cold fire leaves you when it burns out. I know I lost you. I know you're gone. I know if you ever loved me again, it'd be a miracle. But I needed you to know you didn't fail. I did. Claire, I read it once. Then I tore it in half and tossed it in the trash. Not out of anger. Out of finality. Sometimes closure doesn't come in grand gestures or deep conversations. Sometimes it comes in a quiet moment where you realize you feel nothing. Not hate. Not sadness. Just done. I started redecorating. New sheets. New paint. Donated every stupid thing that had her scent or signature all over it. Even the couch. Gave it to a neighbor who just moved in with his girlfriend. Looks new, he said. It's barely been used, I answered. And that was true, in more ways than one. A few months passed. I started laughing again. Meeting friends. Rebuilding pieces of me I didn't even know were broken. I wasn't the same man anymore. I was sharper. Wiser. A little colder, maybe. But stronger. One night, I got a message on Instagram from a girl I went to high school with. We talked. Nothing serious. Just stories, jokes, memories. But something about it felt easy. No drama. No guessing. No code words for betrayal. She said, "You seem different." I replied, "I had to be." And I meant it. We met for coffee the following week. Her name was Danielle. She wore a green coat and smiled like she didn't carry daggers behind her teeth. It was disarming in the best way. I won't lie. I was nervous. Not because I thought she'd hurt me, but because I wasn't sure if I even knew how to be someone's anything anymore. My trust was like cracked glass, still holding, but under pressure, one tap away from shattering again. But she didn't push, didn't probe, just listened, and laughed at my sarcasm, even when it wasn't funny. Somewhere between the second coffee and a long walk through the park, I found myself telling her everything. Not the sanitized version, the real version. About Claire, about Jake, about the wine bottle, the bedroom, the printed emails. All of it. Danielle didn't interrupt once. She just nodded. Her eyes didn't flinch. And when I was done, she said something I didn't expect. She didn't deserve the man who printed receipts instead of lighting the whole place on fire. I smiled for real this time. That night, I didn't text Claire back, even though I saw she'd messaged again. "Hope you're okay. Just thinking about you." I didn't even open it. Because for the first time in a long time, I didn't need to. Claire became a shadow. A ghost that haunted the old version of me. And I'd burned that version to the ground already. The real shift came a month later, when I saw her in person. It was at the grocery store, of all places. I was in the frozen aisle, grabbing a pizza. She turned the corner with a cart full of wine and salad kits. She stopped dead when she saw me. I saw that flicker of guilt, that rehearsed expression she probably used on the new guy whenever he caught her lying. I didn't say a word, just nodded once. She smiled nervously. "Hey." I looked her in the eyes, calm as ever. "Take care, Claire." She blinked. "That's it. What else is there?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. Something broke in her expression, not pride, not anger. Maybe the realization that I had nothing left for her. No attention, no fight, no care. I walked past her, didn't look back. That was the real ending. Not the letter, not the argument, not the night she left with Jake. It was that moment in the aisle when she realized she didn't just lose a husband. She lost access to a version of herself she could manipulate. And I walked out of that store with a frozen pepperoni pizza and my spine fully intact. Now I laugh more. I sleep without waking up in a cold sweat. I go to the gym, not to punish myself, but because I want to feel strong again, inside and out. Danielle and I talk a few times a week. It's not love yet. Maybe it never will be. But it's clean. It's honest. And it doesn't feel like a battlefield. Sometimes I still think about Claire, not with longing, not even with hate. Just curiosity. Like someone remembers a strange dream they once had. Fuzzy. Unreal. A little ridiculous in hindsight. If you're reading this because you're standing in the wreckage of betrayal, wondering if you'll ever feel normal again, I'll tell you something I wish someone told me. It gets better. Not in a cliché, Instagram quote way. In the real, gritty, earned way. You stop bleeding. You stop shaking. And one day, without warning, you stop waiting for her to come back. Because you're already gone. It was a Tuesday when I finally took off my ring. Not out of anger. Not because I needed a moment of drama or symbolism. I just looked down while washing my hands. Noticed how the skin beneath had gone pale and smooth, untouched by air for years, and I slipped it off. Quietly. Set it on the counter. Stared at it for a second. Then walked away. Funny how something that once felt like armor can start to feel like a shackle. I didn't tell anyone. Not even Danielle. She wasn't the rebound type. She wasn't waiting to fill a space or heal a wound. She was just there, steady, present. Like a lighthouse in a storm I didn't even realize I'd been stuck in until the waters calmed. She never asked for details. She didn't need to hear more about Claire. Didn't pry into my past like it was hers to collect. Instead, she just listened when I offered, and when I didn't, she filled the space with warmth instead of pressure. One night, we sat on her couch watching a documentary neither of us really cared about. She fell asleep halfway through, head resting on my shoulder, hand barely touching mine. And I remember thinking, this is what it should have felt like. Not fireworks and danger and walking on eggshells. Not checking her phone screen reflected in a mirror, or listening for her voice change when she answered a call. Just peace. Claire taught me a lot. Taught me how to spot a lie dressed as concern. Taught me that not all I love yous come with loyalty. That passion without respect is just chaos in a prettier dress. And that betrayal doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. The real pain? It wasn't even her cheating. It was everything before it. The slow withdrawal. The half-hugs. The distracted dinners. The nights she turned away without saying goodnight, claiming she was tired, when in truth, she'd given everything she had to someone else already. There's a different kind of heartbreak in watching the person you love fall in love with someone else right in front of you, piece by piece, while pretending to still be yours. But I'm done mourning that. Claire reached out again last week. New number. New excuse. Just wanted to see how you were. I deleted it. Didn't even open it. Because healing isn't always about forgiveness. Sometimes it's about choosing silence over reopening wounds. She doesn't get access anymore. Not to me. Not to my peace. She gave that up when she decided one night with another man wasn't a tragedy. I've had tragic days. But now I have good ones too. Simple ones. Like walking past our old restaurant without flinching. Like hearing our song in an Uber and not changing the station. Like watching Danielle laugh at something dumb and realizing I'm smiling without even thinking about it. The scars are still there. I don't pretend otherwise. I see them every time I look in the mirror and remember who I used to be. But I also see the man I am now. And I like him better. The last time I saw Claire was by accident. I was walking out of a bookstore. Yeah, a bookstore, of all places, holding a gift I picked out for Danielle, a novel she'd mentioned loving as a teenager. I was thinking about wrapping it in that paper with little gold stars, maybe surprising her after dinner. Then I heard my name. Soft. Almost hopeful. Ethan. I turned, and there she was. Claire. Same eyes, but tired now. Less fire, more flicker. Her hair pulled into a rushed bun. A coat too big on her frame, like it belonged to someone else. There was something hollow in her smile, like she was wearing it out of habit. I didn't say anything. She looked at the book in my hand. For someone. I nodded. She hesitated. Then, is she good to you? The question didn't sting. It didn't rattle me. It just made me realize how long it had been since I felt unsafe in someone's presence. She's honest, I said. And she laughs at my dumb jokes. Claire laughed too, back then. But it was different. Lighter now. I'm glad, she said, and I think she meant it. There was a silence. Not the kind that begged for more, just a quiet that settled like dust between two people who used to share everything and now shared nothing. I hope you're doing better, I added. She nodded slowly. Trying. And that was it. No long apology. No desperate plea. Just two people, once in love, now standing on opposite shores of their lives, finally understanding there's no bridge left to cross. I walked away. Didn't look back. That night, I gave Danielle the book wrapped in the gold star paper. She smiled like I'd just handed her a piece of the moon. And that's when I knew. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't broken. I wasn't waiting for closure. I had built something new out of the wreckage. Stronger. Quieter. Real. So here's what I'd say to the man who's reading this. The one who's just found the messages, or the hotel receipts, or the late-night whispers not meant for him. Yes, it hurts. God, it'll tear something out of you that you'll never get back. But in that space, you'll build something better. And one day, when she says, don't turn it into a tragedy, you'll smile. Because you didn't. You turned it into your beginning.